Reason, through Kant's eyes, is a rational framework of understanding the experiences which dictate how we perceive existence, and fails to be sufficiently effective in guiding the will safely in regard to objections and the satisfaction of all our needs. KP 12. Essentially, reason is insufficient to achieve happiness as it produces objections to the aims of happiness and further creates needs which are innately human or non-natural. It is due to this that Kant believes that reason cannot dictate sentimentality, and instead must dictate morality. Reason is a singular, monolithic foundation of all morality, an innately human process that exists to produce the good will in itself. A will good in itself, KP 12. This is consistent with his belief that human experience is derivative from reason, i.e., human experience would be a mess of unprocessed information and perceptions without reason to sort everything into its rational order. TB 746. If experience is derivative from reason, then it would follow that morality, the action framework governing how to respond to outside human experiences, must be rational or reason-based as well. As for telling us what we must do, or simply morality, Kant believes that in order to attain moral worth, so the action you must take, one must take the action not from a sense of acting in accordance with how duty tells us to act, rather should take the action from duty itself, i.e., take the action which satisfies your presumably rational goodwill or your reason. Kant expands his explanation to say, nothing other than the representation of the law in itself, which obviously occurs only in the rational being, insofar as it, and not the hoped-for effect, is the determining ground of the will, therefore constitutes that so preeminent good we call moral. KP 17. This is the combination of reasoning as the basis for morality, and morality as a means for the goodwill. Actions cannot be moral if they are taken for any reason other than because it is a rationally affirmative thing to do. The basis of this rational affirmation is threefold: the universal laws, the categorical imperative, and the practical imperative. Kant's also famous quote, "I ought never to conduct myself except so that I could also will that my maxim become a universal law," sets the foundation of what would constitute a rational and therefore moral universal law or maxim, as something which follows a categorical imperative. The categorical imperative is something which must be done in any circumstance, and in order for this categorical imperative, which governs the universal law, to be moral, it must be non-contradictory towards the practical imperative, or rational in that framework. The practical imperative is, act so that you use humanity as much in your own person as in the person of every other, always at the same time as ends, and never merely as means. KP 46-47. All of this brought together essentially means that in order for an action to be moral, or the thing which must be done, it must be rational, following frameworks based on pure reason and adherence to this reasoning, or duty. Hume is quite different. His view is that actions which must be done, or are morally adherent, are based solely on the passions and the desires. He starts this theory by explaining that impulse arises not from reason, but is only directed by it. He firmly believes that nothing can oppose the impulse of passion but a contrary impulse, and that this continuous fight between impulses is what constitutes our free will and volition. It is only upon this foundation of passion that morality can truly be formed, as morality, therefore, is more properly felt than judged of. Reason plays no part in this origin of morality, but rather is the slave of the passions, and can never pretend to be any other. All this fits into what must be done via our sentiments of pain and pleasure. Hume believes that since these two reward and punishment factors directly cause and influence our passions and desires, they must necessarily influence our moral